G'day viewers, this will be my introduction video into emergency preparedness and survival. I'll be putting quite a lot of videos on my channel in regards to these two issues that I feel are very important to all of us, but are also overlooked by a large majority of us as well. Hopefully with an objective mind, I'll enlighten you with the things that I have learned, and hopefully you take some valuable data points and include it into your own situation and your own preparations. Now the bottom line I'm trying to convey is that you don't have to have a huge amount of money or have had previous survival and military experience. That does help, but it is not exactly the necessary criteria to make your preparations work. Now, the things you see in front of you, the average person can easily acquire, and you can also acquire necessary skills which will give you the edge, give you the highest possible chance of surviving for when an emergency or a survival situation occurs. Now, there are a lot of doomsday end of the world types out there, you know, Mayan calendar ending, 2012, solar flares, crap hitting the fan. You know what? That's their decision, but we're going to go to a more logical and, you know, purposeful way to prepare, and that's going to be the direction of my videos from now on. But you have to understand that there will always be change in life. You know, good change, bad change, whatever happens will happen, but at the end of the day, if something were to happen, you would want these items that are in front of you, and you would also want necessary skills to get you through and give you the fighting edge to make it. Now, what does the word emergency preparedness mean in general? It means exactly that, preparing for emergencies. Now, emergencies happen when you least expect them. I mean, the severities can vary from, you know, someone injuring themselves on a day hike. You know, you can get to medical assistance within 20 minutes and everything's okay, but you could also fast forward that and you could go to one of the worst case scenarios. For example, would be the March 2011 Japanese tsunami, which unfortunately killed more than 10,000 people. Now, these people were exactly like you and me. They were just going about their daily lives, dropping the kids off at school, going to work, hanging out with their friends, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a pure wall of destruction was upon them. You know, so many people did die, unfortunately, but guess what? These things will happen, and they will continue to happen in the future. Who knows what may happen, but severities can vary. Now, things like this is what we, as people with the preparedness mindset, keep in the back of our minds all the time. That anything can happen, and when they do happen, we've had the necessary time to assemble our gear and to increase our skill set to give us the best possible chance of survival. Now, you don't have to go out spending thousands upon thousands of dollars, you know, on expensive equipment that you'll eventually just leave packaged in a backpack, and for when the time comes that you need to utilize that gear, guess what? You won't be trained, and it won't be versed in its use, and you're going to set yourself up for a massive failure in the field, which would cost you or your loved ones your life. Now, when it comes to survival and emergency preparedness, you have to be really smart about it. You can't just think that you have the best possible survival pack, you have the best gear in it, you have some cool guns, and that you can handle any situation that involves in front of you. You know what? That is far from the truth. You could be in such a situation where you only have a knife, you have some cord, you have a lighter and a jacket, and you can survive for weeks if you have the determination, the mindset, and the skill set. Now, all the things that you see in front of you, with a lot of perseverance, a lot of time, I've been able to collect, and strategically, all these items are, I would say, more than the basic, but more to the advanced, but these things you can easily acquire. Now, onto the left, I'll explain a bit of the gear that I have. Now, what you would always need are basics, and basics are the ability to start fire, the ability to build a shelter. You need first aid equipment in case anyone gets injured in your party, and you also need just general items that'll make living out in the field or in a survival situation. It would make things a lot easier for you and give you the most possible chance to be able to survive that situation. Now, I'll start on the left with some example of things that I have. On the left, I have the ability to start fire many various ways. I have a Zippo lighter with 2 cans of fuel. Very easy, lazy way I like to think about to start a fire. But I also have a flint and striker, I have, you know, a magnifying glass, I have matches, so I have multiple ways of starting a fire. So fire is very important in a survival situation. Moving on to that, I have a little bit of alcohol in a hip flask, because alcohol has a few purposes. Not only could it, you know, make a dire situation that little bit better, give you a bit of a morale boost, but you could also use it to disinfect utensils, you know, things like that. I also have a Uniden radio scanner, so, you know, in case of a very large, widespread disaster in the community or your city or your just your county or whatever, you can hear what the police, the fire, you know, what everyone on the road is doing in general, and that's a very good intelligence gathering device, you know, very important to have. You got to know what's going on out in the world, so, you know, you'd better decide what you should do, what your action plan is. And moving on from that, I also have the ability to cook. I have like a US GI mess kit and a canteen cup, so I can both cook with that and I can boil sanitized water with that. Moving on from that, I have a level 2 first aid kit. Things that are included in that are like blood stoppers. I have some tourniquets, blood stoppers, things like that. Also have a suture kit to sew up, you know, any wounds, because I have done practice that as well. So very important is first aid, because you always have to be able to help that in case there's no one to help you in that situation. Moving on from that, I have like a lighting kit, you know, about 6 snappable glow sticks. You know, you can use that to mark your signal. You can mark or signal your location, things like that, just help you read or maneuver through the dark. Also have like about 12 tea light candles, so, you know, if you're around camp and you just need to read something, good to have. Moving on from that, I have a pair of binoculars, as you must be able to see what's happening in your immediate general vicinity, you know. Very important, you know. Imagine what you can do with that. You can do lots of things. Moving on from that, I have some toilet paper, a must, of course. I'm not going to go into that further. Past that, I have a emergency blanket, so in case, you know, all of a sudden you get trapped out there and it's suddenly the temperature has dropped and you don't have time to make a fire, you know, you can survive with that. You'll be roughing it out, but you can survive with that. Moving on from that, I have a field knife. So always important to have a knife to be able to cut things to, you know, if you had to scale a fish, or you had to skin an animal, disembowel animal before you had to prepare it, you know, and you could just do a lot of field crafting tasks with a knife. A knife is a must. Also past that is a small axe, you know, to chop firewood, to help build a shelter. If, you know, in case anyone was trapped by something, you can, you know, hack at that until they're free of that. So very useful tool, inexpensive, good to have. Also I have a little shovel in case you had to, you know, dispose of any, you know, waste, or you had to like just help build your shelter, you know, things like that. And just that's just a basic general overview of some of the basic items I have. I have a lot more stuff in other backpacks, but this is just a general explanation of, you know, some things that you should probably think of having. Now to the right is like, you know, of course you need to stock some food. You know, in your house, I'm sure you can at least spare a few boxes of, like, you know, staples. Like the staples would be, from my understanding, is that you should have rice. Rice keeps for a very long time, very easy to cook, high in carbohydrates, will give you energy, and is a very good staple. You know, bags of flour is good. You know, if you have a heat source, you can bake basic bread, which is good, no worries at all. You know, powdered milk, you know, emergency, you know, heat-treated milk, chocolate, tin goods, you know, bottled water, chocolate to lift your spirits. So, you know, food's very important in a emergency situation as well. Stock food like that would probably be more helpful in like a, you know, grid down, you know, power's gone, gas is gone for quite a while due to like maybe an earthquake or a severe flash flood that, you know, takes out most of the town or the city or the county that you live in. So yeah, that's what it's good for. But in an emergency backpack, you'd probably want, I'd say, at least 3 days worth of food. You know, tin food, freeze-dried food, very good for you. And also a way to purify water that, you know, you can collect from a stream or a pond or anything like that. So that's what's very important to have. But yes, just an overall general view of like my thoughts on preparedness, the gears that you would need, and also what I want to, really strive behind this is that you must improve your skill sets, because you know what, the gear is good, but it's nothing unless you don't know how to use it. So that's one thing to take from this, hopefully. If you have any questions or any comments, please, let me know. I'll try to help you out any way I can. But this is just a general basic overview of what's to come, and hopefully you've taken something very valuable from this, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.